Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we are back with a battle report from the bridge of one of my favorite destroyers. This is Tier 10 Russian jack-of-all-trades, Grozovoy. Just look at that consumables list along the bottom of the screen. This ship has a little bit of everything for just about everyone. She's certainly not a great torpedo boat with a 2.5 minute reload on what are honestly pretty average torpedoes for the tier, but she's got really good guns. She's got really good AP on those guns when you're allowed to use it or you get the opportunity. And then, of course, she has a nice little AA suite, lots of defensive fire. She gets a heal, smoke, and a speed boost. Lots of utility out of this boat. But we're not really here to talk about Grozovoy. I'm just here dusting off a snowflake. No, what I want to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen, is the failed experiment of submarines in World of Warships. I haven't talked a lot about this subject, a little bit here and there on some various scuttlebutt videos, and maybe a little bit on my Twitch stream, mostly because I just haven't really seen subs as all that impactful, and I still really don't. The average submarine, as we saw from the stats that Wargame released recently, the average submarine barely does anything in a typical game. The mechanics right now are just such a disastrous mess that either people can't figure them out, or they just change so often nobody can really kind of spend long enough with it to figure it out. I don't know what the deal is, but when you have a third of the games in the class result in no damage, something is wrong, because literally damage is the name of the game. It's the point of playing. So we're going to talk about submarines as we go. For starters, though, I want to talk briefly about kind of my approach to this game, because there are 3 submarines on each team in this game, and I have never seen this before. My first thought is, get up here, get a cap, get some points in the bank. So that way when ships start dying, you don't get zeroed out. That should always be, as a destroyer, one of your priorities. We're in the cap, somebody's here with us. It's obviously, well, I say obviously, it's probably one of the Shimikazes. One of the opposing submarines is not likely to be fast enough to already be in the cap. Close, but probably not in the cap. At least not enough to contest me that quickly. So here I am just trolling along the top edge of the cap. There's one of the opposing submarines. And I'm just kind of like, all right, well, let's see. Oh, wait, I'm lit. Hold on. Where am I lit from? It has to be a Shimikaze, and there he is. Right up here on the top end of the cap. His torpedoes, you see they're going down my port side, mean that this guy is essentially toothless right now. So I'm going to put some shells downrange onto him. He's going to smoke and run because Shimikaze, kind of to be expected, really. I'm going to sit here and dodge most of the incoming battleship fire. I think I got clipped by 1 there. So we're going to back off a bit. He's going to get 1 more salvo and give me some incentive to go ahead and use a heal here. But I'm going to do something that I like doing when I see a Shimikaze who doesn't seem to have a lot of close support play these kinds of games, and that is, I'm going to use up Move Zone Smoke against him. Now, to some extent, this is predicated on him screwing up, right? In the sense of, he has to get spotted some other way. But most Shimikaze players are not exactly the smartest people that you've ever run into in World of Warships, and just so happens, luckily for me, this gentleman has a similar problem. Here I am on the backside of his smoke screen, running him down when he decides he's going to play gunboat Shimikaze. Okay, let's all play gunboat. I can do that. So sitting here, I get to steal this guy's smoke and basically just beat him up for free damage. And at the moment, there's nothing he can do about it. He's going to turn back to port and panic torpedo, but he doesn't really know where I am. He just sees shells coming out of his old smoke screen. And by the time he is going to finally catch a glimpse of me right here, it will be the last thing he sees as he becomes first blood. So let's pause the game here real quick and take stock, okay? We started off, we're 4.5 minutes in, I've soloed a Shimikaze. Things look really good. Like in a normal game, I'd be feeling very good about myself right now. I've got a quick kill. We've picked up a cap. We've got about a 100-point lead here. It's still early, but like nothing untoward has happened. But look at the position of the U-2501 on the northern side of the A cap that I just spent time capping. He just sailed right through it. Just kind of kept on chugging. Didn't really care. Didn't slow down, didn't bat an eyelash. Submarines right now in World of Warships don't feel like they have a purpose to me. They feel like all they really are agents of chaos. And I'm okay with a little bit of chaos. I actually like a little bit of chaos in my games because it makes things interesting. But 3 submarines on each team is a little too much chaos, okay? And in fact, now as ships start dying and we go 130 points down because their submarine rammed our submarine, what is even happening? Yeah, here we are. The fun begins. Now, I decide, all right, well, look, I'm a destroyer. I know my depth charge is pretty good. I was testing out the pattern earlier to see how Grozovoy's pattern works with the hedgehogs. She's got back on the stern, and it's a nice little pattern there. But I decide I'm going to go help the Schlieffen and hunt down this submarine. But literally, he just put his Hydra up. He can't see the guy who's 2.5 kilometers behind him. How do I know he's 2.5 kilometers behind him? Because in about 10 seconds, he's going to pop up 2 kilometers behind him, right there, ready to just dump 1 trillion torpedoes into this guy. So he's going to come up to periscope depth, like you do, which he has to, basically. He basically has to do this to get these torpedoes, because otherwise they'll miss. Vomit out 6 torpedoes and immediately dive and leave the Schlieffen with basically no way to react. There's no time here, and boom. There's a big old huge, like, here goes half his HP. And I'm like, oh, at least I know where the dude is. I'll get up here and depth charge him, right? Excellent. I can do one of my God-given destroyer things. I can get up here and wipe this guy out. But the Schlieffen is not done, of course. He's had quite enough of these shenanigans. He's going to call in his little aerial depth strike ability. Here it comes. He's going to put some depth charges into the water. And I don't know if you noticed, that submarine only had 250 HP. So it's only got to get lucky with one of these. Just waiting, sweetheart. And there it is. So I've come back from my position on the 2 line to try to help kill submarines. I'm now on the 5 line, and the submarine's dead through nothing. I contributed nothing. Okay, sure. All right, well, my torpedoes are mostly reloaded. At least one rack is. The other one's about to come back up. We're going to move up and get some into the cap here on this Ohio, who's bow on to this Balau, who just missed his entire torpedo salvo, and who's about to get spotted on the surface. Now, I don't know if it's just... I don't understand why it should be confusing to anybody playing a submarine. If you're on the surface in a submarine and you're spotted, it's time to dive. But this guy is still sitting there. He sits there long enough to take battleship shells to the face. Watch what's about to happen to this Balau on my right. The Ohio's like, oh, well, you're going to sit there? All right, well, here. Have some 18-inch shells. Okay. Right now, submarine mechanics are so frustrating. They are so... I don't even know where to begin. Like, I just don't even know where to begin. I have no problem with them attempting to put submarines in the game. I really don't. I really don't have a problem with the attempt. But the execution is just infuriating right now. And I realize they're going away. Wargaming recently announced they're pulling subs off the live server. They're going back to the drawing board. But, man, they got a lot of work to do, right? They got a lot of work to do. Because I just don't know what's happening. It feels like every time I see a sub... the mechanics, something has changed, something is different. I have something new to learn, and then 3 weeks later, it all changes again. And I've expressed this frustration to the devs and other places as well. Like, you know, I'm the kind of player, I don't invest a whole lot of time in learning mechanics until they're on the live server. Because, like, for good. Because things change. They change so commonly, they change so frequently, that there's kind of no point. And yet, right now with subs, there's just so much chaos and so much shifting and moving of the bar. And I think the biggest frustration I have is that it just doesn't feel like there's a clear vision for these class. Are they supposed to be spotters? Are they supposed to damage capital ships? Are they supposed to hunt destroyers? Because right now, they seem pretty effective at hunting destroyers, and they bloody well shouldn't be. Like, why should they be good at hunting destroyers? That is not the submarine's role. Unable to go into B because of the Worcester lurking nearby, I decide I'm going to push down towards C, where I know there's a Shimakaze and at least one other submarine. So, I kind of drive off the Shimakaze, He's gonna panic dump a set of torps at me here. His buddy, the submarine to the south, coming right to left. He's put a couple of torps into the water. None of those are gonna hit. Sub's gonna have to porpoise back up to periscope depth to spot me again to put another 2 torpedoes into the water. And in fact, he's coming right at me here at less than 2 kilometers. We're gonna start the depth charge run. This ought to be the end of this guy, right? I mean, come on, man. He's literally driving. I just put some shells into him. He's driving directly into this depth charge salvo. And, wait, what? Look how little damage these things are doing. Look how little. What? Is there a historical reason that to have this as much variance as we do in anti-submarine depth charges? I mean, maybe there is, and I just don't know what it is. I would love to know if somebody knows. Like, to me, guys, I want your thoughts on submarines in the comments. And I'm not, don't give me the whole, they don't belong in the game, guys. Look, they're coming, okay? If you don't believe they belong in the game, well, it is what it is. I can't help you there, but they are coming. So I'm of the opinion of, let's try to find a way to make them, like, not crappy, sort of not unenjoyable to play against. But with 11 minutes gone, I'm now the last surviving ship on my team, at least partly because the opposing submarines caused so much chaos, my team was never able to really do anything. I don't mind a little bit of chaos, and I said this earlier, but right now, 3 subs is too much chaos. Too much chaos. Just crazy. I'm going to get down to where this guy is essentially going to be out of battery here. He's going to have to surface. Yep, there you can see his batteries are empty. He's coming up. He's getting a little desperate here, just firing whatever he can. I'm going to end up killing him on the surface, and then unfortunately I'm going to drift into one of these torpedoes. If I'd slowed down right there, I might have had a shot to dodge that one, but I didn't. And it wouldn't have mattered anyway. We weren't going to win the game. It was a good game for me. I had 3 kills and 1,500 base XP. The rest of my team didn't show up. Kind of getting used to that these days in World of Warships. But my frustration remains with submarines. Like, I want to like submarines. I'm a submarine fanboy. I grew up reading stories about the silent service, the American fleet boats, guys like Red Ramage and Howard Gilmore, Gene Fluckey, whose book Thunder Below is one of the best reads you can get for World War II. I can't recommend that book enough. It's so good. Like, submarines are awesome. I would love to see them fit into World of Warships. But man, right now, there are no words to express my frustration. I'm glad that Wargaming is taking the time to try to get them right. And I said this on stream, right? The last thing we need is another carrier rework debacle because we have to roll them out of a live server. Bam, let's go. And then we spend a year recovering from the disaster. I'd rather spend the time to continue to iterate the process and get it right so that when they finally do officially come to the game, that they're not a complete disaster. So I applaud them for that. But man, right now there's a whole lot of frustration out there, and I feel it too, especially at high tiers. High-tier submarines are one of the things that keep me away from high tiers these days. I much prefer playing mid-tier. Mid-tier submarines are not that threatening. They just really aren't. But the high-tier ones are just stupid, right? How much damage can one of these things take, man? The guy just sailed through like 6 depth charges, was like, nah, I barely felt it. What? You sailed through 6? You should be dead. I can't even begin to express my frustration. Anyways, guys, I want to know your thoughts on subs. Tell me anything you like. I'm curious. Let's have a conversation. I'm excited to see them go away for a while. I don't want them back in this form. They need a lot of love. In the meantime, guys, Happy New Year. Appreciate you being here. Wash your hands. Be safe. And I'll catch you next time.